Welcome to Reacting Reddit. I'm your host for today, Mike. We're going to be discussing Major League Baseball and Lou Gehrig. Exclusive at ESPN, Major League Baseball will hold an annual Lou Gehrig's Day on June 2nd to honor people affected by ALS who have banded together to convince teams in the league to honor him like they do with Jackie Robinson and Roberto Clemente. ALS, if you didn't know, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. People are very excited and say, "We did it." I'm so proud of my team that worked tirelessly to make this happen. Thank you to MLB. Thank you to the Redditor support that saw my updates. This is a win for all of us. Plus, I got to be in an ESPN Jeff Passan article. Follow us on Twitter, Adam Wilson. I have no idea who. Okay, so this is going to be buried, and I'm willing to risk getting banned for shilling or whatever, but here goes. About 12 years ago, my best friend's mom was diagnosed with ALS. Well, that's horrible, because in my humble opinion, ALS is one of the worst ways to. We're all going, but we don't have to be doing it by ALS. I wanted to support him, his family, and as a graphic designer with a handful of printing connections and some studio space in an area that has an annual art show, I had an idea to do a poster show that would raise money for charitable organizations in the Twin Cities that I felt were meaningful and close to the personality. I created 100 numbered prints to raise funds. 100% of posted proceeds are the following: an animal rescue that had a hospice program, hospice for animals. That's pretty awesome. And a hospital that had patient assistance funds for breast cancer patients in need. And the durable medical equipment loan program for the ALS Association. I'm guessing that's Minnesota, South Dakota. Anyway, this is the post that made for the ALS Association. Right now, I've got about 70 or so prints in storage, each with a number and a signed certificate as well. If you give me a couple of days, we can take some better pictures for people that would want one. I sold a couple of pictures. Sold them at the time for $40 a print. That's very reasonable for something that's going to charity, and would still do so. I'll ask if you want that you cover shipping and handling. So $40 to go to the ALS Association here in Minnesota. Hit my DMs if you'd like one, and I'm making a point to pull a print out of storage and take better pictures. Done working today. This recognition was way overdue, and you better believe Twins are home. I'll make a point of attending games on Lou Gehrig's disease every year. So apparently this person made some prints to support the ALS foundations in Minnesota, South Dakota, and they're selling them, giving all the proceeds to charity, and that was posted by user systematic_chaos. So if you're interested in a print, send them a DM, get yourself a print for ALS research and Lou Gehrig's Day in Major League Baseball. Congratulations on your hard work. This was posted by Nomads_Beta. This is a well-deserved accomplishment that will better the future of baseball for many fans. Be proud of yourself. Know that you touched the lives of many people who have lost a loved one to ALS, myself included, and made them cry and smile on this chilly March. Another user said, Sliced Shybosh? Interesting name. This is great. Not only is it a great cause, but as a baseball fan, I love Jackie Robinson Day and Roberto Clemente Day. Fun fact about Roberto Clemente, who died in a plane crash. Believe it or not, he died with exactly 3,000 hits, which is kind of a magic number in baseball for introduction into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Just kind of a weird coincidence that 3,000 hits, and that was it. He was tragically killed in a plane crash. We got to shine a light on the history of the game while also focusing on something important. ALS has actually very much affected football as well. You've seen traumatic brain injuries in football players, and there's an exponentially higher rate of former NFL football players that have suffered and passed away from ALS. They think it has something to do with, obviously, the concussions they sustained, impact to their brains, which is why they're focusing a lot on improving helmets and ALS research in football, Major League Football as well. Our next posted is by _JLCK37. In Joe's article about him relating to Gehrig, he shared an anecdote about him that put a lot in perspective. He was confused and hurting, and the 2 years after he gave the speech were hard. And one prominent New York sports writer even suggested he had given the Yankees team polio as a whole to explain the poor performance. Never heard that conspiracy theory before. Speech acts as a nice climax to the movie, but the strength and perseverance to get through confusion and uncertainty of those 2 years are the best examples of this overwhelming willpower. I'm thinking the speech he's referring to is the day I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth speech that Lou Gehrig had given at Yankee Stadium when he had been diagnosed with ALS and knew he was going to die from it. And he's in a packed Yankee Stadium giving that powerful speech. If you've never seen the speech, it's a must see. As I said, he's standing in Yankee Stadium knowing he's going to die, saying, because of the Yankees fans, that I am the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Very powerful stuff. Something you definitely need to look to. Not seen it before. Oh boy. We have one here from Aaron Judge Aaron Judge in a cold tub. Okay. Aaron Judge, current Yankee. Lou Gehrig did not have some crappy lifestyle that caused ALS. ALS is worse than cancer to go through, and there's no cure. Off to all of the people making jokes or saying this is dumb. You probably don't know someone who had ALS. Thankfully, I do not. And don't realize how horrible it is. Top 3 hitter all time and a legend of the sport, died young. He did die young. The last couple of years of his career, he played with ALS, which is a debilitating muscular disease that first affects your fine muscle functions. You know, people have trouble doing buttons, or you notice they're dropping things a lot. And then it goes into things where it affects your larger muscles, and unable to walk. And then you become unable to breathe. It's a horrible thing. In fact, the Ice Bucket Challenge, I'm sure most of you listening to this have heard of, or maybe even participated in the Ice Bucket Challenge. That was to raise money and awareness for ALS. Our next post is from Enola Robati. Says his grandfather died of it. ALS. Terrible. Grandma died. My grandma raised me, so essentially she was my mother. The way she died and suffered haunts me nearly every day, even 12 years. That being said, I think comparing her illness or suffering and putting, let's say comparing? Yes, comparing her illness or suffering and putting in line with what people like Robinson and Clementi suffered is quite insensitive. I don't agree with that. I think that what happened to Roberto Clemente was, of course, tragic. The man died in a plane crash. He was bringing aid, if I remember correctly, Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic, hurricane relief, some kind of natural disaster relief, and he was tragically killed. Roberto Clemente had a fabulous career. Not really certain. He lived a very good life. Anyway, I digress. Highly insensitive, disagree. Nature of what these people needlessly have to overcome and ultimately achieved. And while people of that complexion still suffer and endlessly have to overcome. I want ALS to be celebrated, but I want that acknowledgement to have no connection whatsoever. What the celebrations of Jackie Robinson mean. Sorry, that was a bit ranty. Hope it's clear. Ranty, yes. Clear? No, I don't think any of that was clear, but just my two. Next post is from Doc_McPuffins. Like Roberto Clemente, we've lost him quite young, and this is a way to celebrate one of the all-time greats. Most importantly, that his name alone has done for ALS has been immense. Whether or not he actually died from ALS, I think that's another conspiracy theory. Pretty sure he died of it. He's been an extremely important figure in the fight against ALS. Most people, okay, maybe not most people, but a great deal of people know ALS by Lou Gehrig's disease. He was very famous. He was one of the first people diagnosed with ALS that had any amount of cachet to his name. So that's how you remember ALS and look together. Well, thank you for watching. Please subscribe for more content, and we'll see you again on the next one.